This is the workshop that I'm actually going to be running today. Obviously, I shall be using WordSmith. So there's my WordSmith, and I will be using both of these two things at the same time to see how we get on. So the larger screen represents the aims of today. So you can see there's a welcome, and we are going to get started straight away with that, and we're going to start making a word list of a Shakespeare play and saving it. So let's see if how we do that. So we get our WordSmith and we use the word list tool. Now, just for your information, people often magnify up the WordSmith tools box, the main controller window, this one that you can see. There's no particular advantage in doing that, so I don't recommend it. So I click the word list tool, and there I get it starting, and I go File, New, and I choose the text. And well, I want to do the Shakespeare play, so I'm going to just choose just now I'm going to choose just one of them. So I'm going to try before I did King Lear, now I'm going to do Romeo and Juliet. How do I do that? I just grab it and pull it over to the right, and I press OK. I press make a word list now, and there we have it. Oh, let's make the font a little bigger because you might find it difficult to see. So I will magnify that up to perhaps 12 or 13, which probably will help. I've got my word list of Romeo and Juliet, and first thing I always do is save it. So I go File, Save, and it knows to suggest that name of Romeo and Juliet, which is a reasonable name. So I'm going to press that, and I've got it saved. Right, now, how did I do all of that? These are all very standard things that we do with WordSmith tools, and so I'm hoping that you can manage that all right. What I wanted you to do was here, it says generate a word list of a Shakespeare play, you choose which, and save it. So in the picture you can see I did King Lear, but now I've got another one saved, right? And then I want a word list of all 37. So let me get this back again. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to go File, New, and I've got my text selected Romeo and Juliet, but I'm going to change that, and I'm going to choose all of those plays, right? So what I do is I hold down Shift and grab and pull, or press the middle button, and they go over. And then I go and get some, that was tragedies, I get some comedies. So again, I hold the whole set down, pressing Shift, and press the button in the middle, and I've got 27 stored now. And then I'm going to get some historical plays, and so select all of those two, and press the middle button, or just grab and pull, and they should go over. And if I've succeeded, I've got 37 stored. Down at the bottom, you may see that there are 37 stored. So I now press OK, and it says you have 37 text files chosen. And so I want to make a word list. There's two things I want to do. I want to make a batch, and I want to make a word list. So let's make a word list first of all of those. I'll wait for that to go through. It's processing all of those Shakespeare plays. And there's my word list. And I'm going to save it. And it's going to suggest tragedies plus comedies plus historical files. That seems okay. Actually, I seem to have saved it before inserting the word Shakespeare first, but it doesn't much matter either way, it's pretty clear. So I'm saving, and that's what I did. what did I do then? I made a word list of all of the plays. As you can see, 37 texts. Now, if I close that and go File, New again, now I want to make a batch. I want to make a batch of word lists, one of each play. So I press Make a Batch, and then it's offering somewhere to save it. And I'm going to just simply change the name. The name here is being offered as today's date and time. And I'm going to change all of that 2020 August 04 to a name that I like, which is what I'm doing. I'm making a batch of Shakespeare plays. So Shakespeare would do, and press OK and wait for it to go through. What's it doing? It's making a whole lot of word lists all in one go, and it's putting them all into a zip file to save a bit of space. So that's batch processing, and it says, well, we've made the results, saved OK, and do you want to open to see them? And I'm saying yes, and there I get a list, and I can choose any one I like. So I can say Romeo and Juliet, double click, and Romeo and Juliet opens up in the normal way. So I've made a batch of Shakespeare texts, and I'm going to close that down completely now. I've made a batch of word lists as I showed in the picture before. Here we go. So generate a word list of a play, you choose which. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a look, stop share, and have a look at your questions and answers and so on, and see if people are able to cope with what we've got so far. So Q&A, is it a text file? I've got a question from VJ asking me, is it a text file? Yes, they're all text files. They're plain text files. I'm answering live. Yeah. Okay, done. Right. So that see, everyone seems to be coping. I've got 126 participants who seem to be managing fine with that. Well done. Very good. And make sure that oh, there's another question. Can WordSmith process UTF-8 text like Greek? Well, the answer there is WordSmith doesn't like UTF-8 text, but in the case of Greek or Chinese or many languages, you want something which isn't just, which can handle the accented characters properly. So WordSmith can convert the UTF-8 text to UTF-16, which is what we use, which is what you call Unicode. That's all explained in the help. So you can process them, change them into UTF-16, which will do the job much better. The dispersion value, is it based on Greece's DP? That's a question from Alpha. I don't know the answer to that. I can't remember now, but the way of finding out is to have a look at the help system. If you're in WordSmith and you just press Control, let me share screen again. This screen, I think, and put WordSmith up here, right? And you've got WordSmith visible, and you just right-click and ask for context help, and you get a whole series of all the help system here, and you want to know about dispersion, so you go to the index and type in dispersion. That would be one way of doing it. Dispersion and dispersion formula, and there, there it's all explained. So I'm not going to bother reading that now, but you can have a look and see what the explanations are about dispersion, how dispersion works, and what statistic is used. Fatima asks, she cannot download the tool on a Mac. It's not for a Mac, Fatima, I'm afraid. The WordSmith tools works on Windows only. If you have a Mac computer, you can run it using Parallels, but you need a license of Windows, and then it will work. You can say, Hysun asks, do you have to save the target text file in a particular place? No, you can save wherever you think is convenient to you. It does. You could save it there in 𝗏smith/texts if you like, but as long as you remember where it is, then that's it. That's good enough. So, okay, I'm going to go on now. So let me get rid of this help system, and then we can carry on with what we're doing. Okay, so that's the first thing we did. Okay, now we're going to be sorting various things. So let's take the word list, the whole set word list. Okay, and where is my word list? I've kind of lost it now. So what I'm going to do is go back to previous results, word list. I find that's very convenient for going back to things when I open too many and close them down. There's my whole set word list of all the texts. Right, here it is. And it's sorted on texts already, isn't it? I think, or is it not? Maybe not. Let's go to the alphabetical tab. It's not sorted on text at all. Let's sort it on the text column. So we just click there, and we've got it sorted in descending order with the text. So those words occur in all 37. And then there's a word need and needs, which occurs in 36. And there's obviously some play which doesn't use the word need or needs. Methinks, an ancient word, a Shakespearean word, 16th, 17th century word, used in 36 of Shakespeare's 37 plays, and so on down. Now, the question is, with the whole set word list sort on the text column, we've done that bit. Now find the words which occur in one play only. How would we do that? How could we find the words which occur in one play only here? Well, one way would be just to simply jump down to the bottom, pull it down. So there's some words that occur in one play only. Okay, there are some pretty amazing words that if English is your first language, there will be words that you're probably not familiar with. There's words that you will never have seen probably if English is not your first language, and some of them are really quite strange words. 𝗬𝗏𝗃. One wonders what 𝗬𝗏𝗃 means. Let's have a look and see if we actually can find out anything about it. So I want to just see where it comes. It comes one time in one text. So let's just compute concordance and wait for that to pop up. And here we go. That's the context we're getting. It seems to be from the play King Lear. And well, we can read something of it. Somebody's saying, good gentleman, go your gate and let poor folk pass. It's in some sort of dialect. It's obviously a low-class character in this play, and which one it is, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, I'm going to go back to the program. Words which occur in one play only. Which play is that in? Well, we found that out, didn't we, by going to concordance and find out which play the text came from. You see the name in the right-hand column there. You may be seeing a lot more columns. I don't know, some columns visible, some not visible, but one of the columns will be file and date and so on. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question. Is it going too slow, too fast, or about right? And how do we get an answer for that, Tony? Can you tell me how we can get an answer? Tony, are you there?
Yeah. Maybe in the chat, if people could just respond in the chat.
Where's the chat?
Marie-Lisa said it's okay.
Chat,
Good pace. Nico says good pace.
Of course, I've got screen sharing.
Okay. A bit too fast. Mariangel. Mohammed says fine.
Okay, I'm going to carry on then, and let's see how we get on. But I'll give you another opportunity in a bit to tell me if I'm going too fast. I can't expect everybody to go at the same speed, but we'll try our best. Right, so I'm back to my program here, and I think we're going to go straight into the next section, which is to make a detailed consistency list. That's something which perhaps some of you may not have ever done before. What is a detailed consistency list? Well, an ordinary word list tells you each word in each text. A detailed consistency word tells you much more detail about which words occur in which text. So how are we going to do that? We need, again, use the word list tool. Okay, I'm going to close this down. Don't need it just now. And I go File, New, and Detailed Consistency. It says, to see detailed consistency of a set of word lists, you need to choose at least 2 word lists first. It's going to need several word lists to be able to show all the details of which words come in which of them. So I click the button at the side to choose, and I'm going to choose the batch. I think I made the batch there, didn't I, just now? Right. I think I have to, no, that will do there, and press open. And what's happened? No, change that to zip, find the zip. Now, I see I got myself lost, even me. So let's see if I can maybe help you, right? Looking in the Shakespeare batch folder, and I need a text which has got a zip name. So I have to change the options here to find it, right? So it's a zip file, and now I can press open. And I'm ready to compute detailed consistency. Let me just go back again and make sure that you understand. File, New, Detailed Consistency. Press this button, find the folder which contains Shakespeare batch, and I probably have to change the options to show batch files. Once I've done that, I'm okay. I'm not going to change the settings. I'm just going to compute detailed consistency. It goes through and it reads the various details of each text. And now we've got a detailed consistency list of all of the plays. Now, as is my normal habit, the first thing I'm going to do is probably save that. So save, and consistency files, it's giving, and it's putting today's date on the end. I don't really need today's date, so I'm going to edit that out, and its consistency files can be saved like that. So now I can go back and get it again. Right. Now, what have we got here? We've got these words. Aaron comes in one text, and if we go over to the right somewhere, we can find out which one it is. So it's like a spreadsheet. It's quite wide. Okay, and we can sort. Let's say we want to sort on the words which characterize Hamlet. Which are the words in Hamlet? So click the button at the top, click the word Hamlet, and press the down arrow because you want to see the numbers descending. And there they are. Now, watch this. Supposing I have the word my selected because I happen to be interested in that word my, and I sort, instead of Hamlet, I don't want Hamlet, I want King Lear instead. I press the button and it's offering King Lear. It knows that I want King Lear and it does still want descending. I press OK and it sorts, but 𝗏 is still selected. That might be inconvenient. It might be convenient, might be just exactly what you want. Let me give you another example where I'll go down a bit further. Supposing 𝗏 is selected and I sort and I say I want to know in this play here Coriolanus, and I'm going to get it in descending order again, and there we go. We find that 𝗏 is still selected. The words are in order for Coriolanus, but I can't see the top words because it's not gone to the top. It's because it keeps selecting that word that I had previously selected. Do we like that or do we not? Is that something we want? That depends on your purpose, and I'm now going to show you how you might change the setting so that it doesn't happen. I think it could be quite annoying if it's constantly going and showing you the word that you happen to have selected when you didn't really mean to, or it could be very convenient. So I really don't know which you think about that. How can we change the setting? Well, we go to the main controller. What I always do is I look at the bottom of my screen where I can see the icons for the various programs I use a lot. And the main controller is down there, so it pops it back up again, right? Now I go to the main settings, and it's an advanced thing I'm going to change here. It's an advanced setting, and where do I go? It's an advanced within advanced, believe it or not. And I go into various, and here is where I've got the remember sort row instruction, right? I'm going to untick that and close it and go on again. Right now it should, with any luck, should not remember, and I should be able to sort without this happening necessarily. I'm going to sort now on Julius Caesar and see if that works. Yes, it's working okay because it jumped to the top of Julius Caesar and is showing "and" as the top word, showing the top word essentially. That's what's happened. So that was that piece of sorting a detailed consistency list. Let me go back to the task, make a detailed consistency list, right? Now I sorted the columns to 1 centimeter each using the menu. How did I get the columns so narrow? Here, perhaps they're a bit too wide and I can't see so much. How do I get the sorting the way I want? Well, I right click and I've got a layout pop-up option. There are my columns. There are all the columns. Now I could say, okay, I'll take all the plays there, all of them, and select them all, hold down Shift and say, I want to have them be here, not 1.9 centimeters, but 1 centimeter each will be good. Nope, too far, that's it. 1 centimeter, okay. And now I've got narrower columns. It means that the numbers are a bit more difficult to look at, but I've got more plays to go across horizontally. It's really just a matter of what suits your preference, what is going to be convenient for you. So we made a detailed consistency list. We got the columns to a standard size, and we found out how to sort them. And then the question then is, how far down do that play's words run out? Let's go back and look at the list here. And I've got them sorted by Julius Caesar. There's my Julius Caesar. And where do Julius Caesar's words stop? If I pull it down here, pull the thumb down like that, I'm already into the zeros. Now, I don't know whether you can see the thumb, it's over here somewhere. It's not very far from the top of the screen. I'm just nudging it up slightly. There's ones, and down again. And there's the end of, where's the, come on, there's the end of the ones for Julius Caesar. Just nudge down a wee bit further. Quite a lot of words. Down we go. Click. There. Gone too far again. Okay. Anyway, there we go. Alchemy is the last word for Julius Caesar. Now, there are 2,756 words of Julius Caesar. 2,756. How many words are there altogether? Look at the bottom corner of the screen, 25,000. So there are 25,000 words in all these Shakespeare plays, 25,000 different types, word types. Julius Caesar's only got 2,700. Not many, it's only about 10%. It's a bit over 10% of his words. Now try sorting 2 or 3 of the plays yourself and see what results you get. I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that. I don't know whether you've had time now to make your detailed consistency list, but I'm going to give you time to do it, and then you can write and say in the Q&A whether you're succeeding or not, and if you need help. So I'm going to stop sharing and let you give some response. Got a question here asking, is the tool free for students? No, you have to pay for it. It depends on your school or university. They may buy it for you. How to find out the etymology of a word? Well, I'm afraid this software isn't really good for finding the etymology of a word. It's not designed to do that. I can't help you there. I've got some more questions here. Is punctuation included in the total number of words given? 𝗂𝗏 says, no, it's not. Punctuation is not included in words. The software goes through the text stream that it finds coming off the disk, and it parses all the characters, and it uses Microsoft routines which know whether each character is a number or a punctuation symbol or a space or something like a space or a letter, if it can be capitalized or not, and various things it informs. And so that's how it processes the text, and it doesn't actually know whether it can distinguish between punctuation and letters in that way. And so it won't include punctuation in a word list unless you say, well, actually, there's some punctuation which I want to include in a word. And in the case of English, you might say, some people often do, I think I normally do, have apostrophes in the middle of the word acceptable as a valid character. And so that's that can work with English, but that might not be suitable for working with German or Chinese or any other language. So you have to change the settings, and in the main controller there's a language set choices tool which you can use to define whether you want which characters you want to include what kind of punctuation characters you want to treat as if they were letters. Okay. I think where am I getting to there? So I've done about the, thank you for that, and I've done about the punctuation and the difference between running words and tokens used for the word list. Running words is the number of words, that tokens in the text, but some tokens don't get used. So for example, numbers, in WordSmith by default, numbers will be treated as something which you probably are not interested in. So if you've got a number like 16 or 18 or 25 or 253, or a date, or a catalog part like 𝗬𝗚597b, which is a number of some technical piece or something, then you probably will say, I'm not interested in such things, and I want them all lumped together, and I want to just see them all with one symbol. And WordSmith uses the hash symbol for that. So that's why you're going to get the difference between running words and tokens used for the word list. And you are asking about red numbers. Red numbers is used where there's a comparison, and it gives you the most frequent one in the view. The most frequent, the highest number for a particular word. Excuse me, I'm just drinking tea. But the highest number in that frequency list, let me go back and show it to you, and then I'll have to share screen again, right? I think that's what I want. Hope I've got the right thing, yeah. So the highest number, we've got stubborn here in this play. Stubborn comes in red because that is the highest number horizontally for all the plays. So that particular play, which is it? Well, we have to pull it wider. The famous history of the life of King Henry VIII. That one, it has stubborn coming 4 times, and that is the play which most uses the words stubborn. Mohammed asks, does this operate Urdu language? Does it work with Urdu? Well, I don't actually know Urdu myself, but if Urdu can be represented using Unicode, then it should be perfectly possible to process Urdu. I know it's possible to process Japanese and Chinese, and I don't know a reason why it shouldn't process Urdu. Okay, and then Valentini says, so would the documents be finalized to be processed with WordSmith, or can you use WordSmith to normalize text? No, WordSmith does include some tools for corpus checking and cleaning up and tasks like that, but basically punctuation anomalies, these are problems that you're going to have to solve for yourself. WordSmith can kind of try to help to identify texts which have got various problems, and that all of that is, if you look at the corpus tool, this tool here, we've got a whole series of different utilities. Go down a bit, and corpus checker. The corpus checker tool will help you for looking at that. And again, you'd probably want to look at in the help to see how to work. There are quite a number of different tools that come with WordSmith. We're just concentrating today on the 3 main tools. Character profiler is giving trouble today, so I don't know if you've tried it, but it'll just give you a crash. I will be fixing that probably tomorrow or the next day, and there'll be a new version. There's a new version comes out of every week or 2, and that's kind of keeps me out of mischief some of the time. And how to find out collocations or bundles? Well, we'll have a look at collocation. No, we won't be having time to look into collocations or bundles today, but essentially you use the word list tool and you make an index of a text or a set of texts, and then you can compute multi-word items, so 3-word, 4-word structures, and you can process them. It's not difficult to do, but it's not one of the focuses of today's workshop, I'm afraid. So I'm going to move on now. So back to my workshop task, right? And how far does that play's words run out? Well, what I found out with one play was it came at around about the word 4,000 mark. With another play, it came at the 3,600 mark. And with Julius Caesar, we just found out it came at 2,700, I think it was. So it looks as if each of the plays has less than 20% of the total tokens and word types used. It's not tokens, I should have written types. There's less than 20% of the word types used in the plays, which to me was something of a surprise. Now, one other thing you get with detailed consistency is you get something called consistency relations. So if you just click down there, that will have already been computed. And we need to pull this wider because doesn't tell me anything much until I realize that it's A Midsummer Night's Dream. And now we're getting the relationship between A Midsummer Night's Dream and All's Well That Ends Well. And then with Antony and Cleopatra, and then with As You Like It, and then with Coriolanus, and through the various Shakespeare plays. And we get some information. How many words are there? How many types are there in the Midsummer Night's Dream? How many in the All's Well That Ends Well? How many do they share? That would be, you know, about 3,000 there, just over 3,000 there. They share only about 1,200. And the relationship there is something like 40%, right? If we sort on the relationship, we want the relationship going down, right? Well, now what have we got? What we're finding now is that the relationship of the history plays, see, they're all king somebody or other, first part, second part, third part of various king, mostly called Henry, but some Richard and King John and so on, seem to relate to other history plays. So they're all, the history plays seem to kind of belong together, seem to relate to each other, which is probably not all that surprising. It's a very simple statistic, but it basically means they share a considerable amount of their vocabulary. It could be something that you might be interested in looking at. Okay, right, now that's enough of that. So I'm going to go back to my detailed consistency relations. That was what we found. And I asked you about this before. Does the list keep jumping to a highlighted word? And I showed you how you can change it to in the advanced setting. And I went quite quickly through that. You've got it noted there, so you can do it. If you want to change it for yourself, it's up to you. Now we're going to move on to keyword lists. So the first thing to do is to try to compute a keyword list of your chosen play using the whole set word list as a reference corpus. Okay, well, that's a pretty straightforward task if you've used WordSmith before, right? So we need to, I'm going to close down word list. I have that saved already. I don't need to save again. And I'm going to use the keywords tool to compute something. The word list, well, I want there, the reference corpus is all the different Shakespeare plays. That's all there, but the one I want to compare with it is not that one. It's one of them that I've got here. I'm going to try Romeo and Juliet now. Or no, in the workshop I prepared, I think it was King Lear. So I'll do King Lear and make a keyword list now. Now, why does it say Vietnamese, Vietnam? It's not Vietnamese at all. I'm not working in Vietnamese. I am language settings, I'm working in English. Looks to me as if something is seriously wrong there. Shouldn't be saying anything about Vietnamese. Apologies to anybody who's from Vietnam. I don't know what's happening, but I think it will still work. So let's have a see. Right. It's gone very small though. Let's change the settings. I have the font larger, 13, so it should be okay. And there are my keywords of King Lear. Okay, so I've made a keyword list of King Lear. What is the task? What am I expected to do with it? There we go. Resort. Oh, it says it came already sorted. Which column is it sorted on? Now, cast your eye down. Looks as if it's sorted on the BIC score, BIC score. See, those are those descending numbers, but there doesn't seem much difference in the log likelihood score. It's sorted on one of those statistics, right? The log ratio score isn't sorting it because that goes from 4 down again, then up again to 5, and then down to 2, and so on. So that those numbers are not descending, but this BIC score, I think, is, or log likelihood is. The BIC score gives you some indication of the strength of the keyness of a particular term, like these characters in the play, right? Most of these words are characters, though some of them are not. Fool is in a way a character. Sister is a relationship. Fiend is a monster, something like a ghost or a monster. And some of these, Gloucester is a character, Dover is a place. And these are various characters, and there seem to be some sister and sisters seem to be important in this play, and nature seems to take a part, and a lack is an exclamation. So that's what the keywords procedure has thrown up. Excuse me, I'm drinking tea. Right, we've got that. So resort on log ratio. How am I going to resort on log ratio? Well, I just click there, and do I want it down or up? I'm going to sort it down. Those are the words which are sorted by log ratio. These are all various statistics which give you some indication as to how strong the relationship is, or whether it's believable that these words are key. I'll refer you to checking into the help system to look up what log ratio is, who proposed it, what they mean, and so on. But all of them will give some indication of the strength of the, or believability of these words as being keywords. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's go to the next thing. So we resorted on log ratio. Now, what about resorting on the reference corpus? So here's the list back again, and there's the reference corpus. There's the reference corpus frequency. That means how many occurrences of this word come in all of Shakespeare. So 𝗀-𝗀 comes in King Lear. It comes 5 times. How many times does it come in all Shakespeare plays? It comes 5 times. In other words, those 5 times come in this particular play. Let's just sort on the reference corpus frequency. I want descending, I think. So the word fool comes 47 times in this play, but it comes a lot more times, 374 times in all of Shakespeare. So it's not just this play that has fool, or nature, or fellow, or letter, or sister, or knave. These are words that Shakespeare uses, and indeed Gloucester is a character in several Shakespeare plays. and well, how many plays? No, I don't think I can see that just here. Find out somewhere else. Okay, so that's the descending reference corpus frequency. Reference corpus percentage, well, what's happened here? We've got some percentages there, but we've got nothing here. Do you actually want to see the percentage? It's going to be smaller than 0.01%. And by default, WordSmith will hide that from you. But if you do want to see it, how could we find it and make it visible? Well, as before, we would go Layout, and it's the reference corpus percent, and we've got a question here. Well, do we even want to see that column? Don't want that column, we just hide. It's gone. Show, and it's back again. And decimal places, how many decimal places do you want to see? And what is the sort of minimum for it to be visible at all? If I change the minimum right down there, then we get a lot more information. And if I put the decimal places up there, we get much more information too. And we can fill in the information there, and we can see much more detail if we're interested. But normally, I would think normally we're not interested. It's too much information. And so we may say, okay, don't bother unless it's something like that. Let's see. Right, I think having changed, it's not changing back. That explains that. Okay, now we're going to resort on plot. So let's see, where is plot? There we go. Plot is in the bottom left. So we've got the plot there. And we need to resort in the plot. So let's see what we can do in the way of resorting on plot. So try sorting on hits, links, or dispersion. Okay, so if we say hits, there is descending. You can see the descending or ascending by the triangle. The same thing with the big score. We can sort on those. Okay, so all of these sort methods will help us if we're interested in investigating further, or we could, of course, we can sort alphabetically on the keywords. There they go. If we want to get them back down something like what they were when we first saw them, then big score descending is what we're probably going to want. Plot shows us overall all the instances where they come, and it kind of gives a picture that these words come throughout the play, which is not surprising. But Edmund comes in little bursts, and daughters, again, this is a term which comes in certain places. And you can see a ruler here. Now, how can you turn the ruler off if you don't want it? You could even change the number of segments if you like, but to just not see it, I think it's probably in the view. So let's turn off the ruler and turn it back on again. And I think with any luck, we might be able to change the colors. So we can go to the main WordSmith controller, the color settings. And here we're going to have to go to advanced color settings and make the ruler color violet, like that. Now, does it work? Let's see, has it gone violet? Yes, it has, it's gone violet. Right, so there are various things that you can fiddle with if you're interested for particular display reasons. I think that violet is actually slightly better because the plot marks do need to be distinguished from the ruler. And they were too similar in color. It's really up to you how you manage that. And then the number of divisions, the standard number of divisions is eight different segments. So basically what this means is here's a burst to do with the fool in the second of 8 segments. Quite a lot of stuff referenced to the fool. This isn't where the fool is necessarily speaking, but the actual word fool is being used. It could be probably being used by someone else. And if you hover over that, and down below, in the status bar at the bottom, you've got the context visible. So where my mouse happens to be now is on row 10, hit 9 of 47, which is at word nearly 5,000, and the context says something, this is nothing, fool. This then 'tis like the breath of an unfeed law. So you get the quotation, so you can actually see what's happening. And the same thing if you go there to see what's happening with Tom, it says poor Tom, and so on. So that is some way of getting at the different aspects of the plot itself. Now, one of the things that that I've been putting in recently is a click on the actual plot itself, not on the big score or the links or the hits. And there are various different ways of sorting that may be available. And one of them is a simple one, is by first position. So if we click like that, then you can see that this is the first position of the words as they come. And so this reference to this word a cold and Tom's and hovel is coming, you know, in the middle, after the middle of the play. And there's bad news happening in this play because there's rain, a lack, which means alas, which means how sad I am. Dover is a place, there, a hovel is a horrible house, cold, and he's been whipped, and he's been ill-treated by his daughters. That's what the play is about. Is Lear has given up he's the king, and he's given up his power to his 3 daughters, and made a big mistake because 2 of them are pretty horrible people, and they ill-treat him, and that's what the play is about. Okay, so we've made a keywords list. Now I broke my promise. I normally try to save, so I'm going to just make sure I save it. So there, King Lear keywords. Make sure I get it saved in the where I want. I want to save in keywords, in the keywords section, and that will. Oh, I've got another one already saved. Well, I'm going to overwrite that one. Never mind. There we go. I've got my results saved, so I can go back and get it again. Okay, so what have we done then? How are we doing for time? We've done nearly an hour of our workshop, and we've done some of this. We've done sorting on the keywords and sorting on the plot, and there are various different ways of doing it, sorting by first position, and how can I get the columns narrow? I think I'm going to skip that. Resorting on segment 2, that's another new feature which you may not know about. So I say I want to plot, but I want to sort by segment. I'm going to sort in this case by segment 4, and I want to see there's a little red circle saying this segment 4 that's sorted. So the ones which have the greatest preponderance in the 4th of 8 segments of the text can be brought up nearer to the top in comparison with each other. Right? This word occurs a lot in the second segment, but what it counts here is how many times does it occur in that segment there, and how many times does this word occur, and this word occur, and this word occur, and this word occur, all in that segment there, in that segment from this pink line to this pink line. And that's what's making them be sorted. Okay. Good, we're doing well. Now we're going to go into concordancing. Well, we made a concordance. Now, I think I've asked you already to make a concordance of the word death on all of the plays, right? You can do it as I did when I was preparing this, I selected the word and I just said, please give me a concordance of it from the same text files as the word list was made of, which is all the Shakespeare plays. That's how I did it. Right. So I chose to get a concordance of death, and there it is. Now let me have a look at, see if I can do that now. I'll close that down, and today I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm just going to go File, New, choose my text, and I'm going to choose the text again. Well, I'm going to have to do it in the same way as before, historical and tragedies and comedies, and then death, wasn't it? What a negative word. That's what I chose. There we go, there's death, right? And I've got my concordance there. Well, if you've used WordSmith before, I'm sure you'll be familiar with that. Okay, so now I'm going to have a look at the questions that people have been asking, and I'm going to bring them back here and see. Rana says how to find out collocations. We talked about that, and that is a thank you there. And can you use it for Korean? The answer is yes, you can. Plenty of people do in Korea. Bangla, I don't know. I haven't had feedback from Bangladesh and people processing Bangla, but I guess the answer is probably yes, but I don't want to predict too certainly, because there could be some problem I don't know about. Then we get, can you annotate text using WordSmith? Well, basically it's not for that purpose. No, you need some other text annotation tool. There is some simple annotation that WordSmith can do, but quite limited. And then Valentini asking, can we export results in Excel format? Yes, that's going to be part of the workshop, so we'll see that in a minute. And Stella, could you show again how to get to the consistency list and detailed consistency list? Right, well, I will do that, yes. Okay, let's push this to one side, push this to one side, and go back to my word list tool. There we go, right. And I'm going to get to the consistency list and, well, detailed consistency list, that's what we do. File, New, detailed consistency, and then we choose the batch. Where is the batch? It's in that folder, or this folder. I think they've done it twice on different days. It's in there, but what I need is the actual zip thing, which contains all of the word lists all zipped up. You don't need to use them all zipped up. You could expand them all. They'll expand out easily enough, and you can expand them and then select all 37 if you like. But the idea with a batch, it's easier just to choose one and let the tool do the job. And then we choose, well, I'm not going to fiddle with the settings, but that would be possible. I'm going to simply compute detailed consistency. And that's what we did, Stella. So now we've got a detailed consistency list. And then, of course, the first thing to do is to save it. But I'm not going to do that now because we saved before. Okay, so no, I'm not going to save it. Right, and I think that's probably done that. And then bracket. And what are the red data in the keyword list? It's the same thing as, red data in keyword list. Yes, good question. Right, let me get back the keyword list. Previous results, King Lear keywords. There we go. And why are some words red? Are there some? Yes, there are some. Look, they're red, aren't they? Now, and not only that, but they're actually negative. What's happening here? Something very strange. They go a funny color and they're very strange. Let's have a look at this word and. This word comes, well, a lot of times in our text of King Lear, and it comes loads of times in all of the plays. It's not surprising, it's quite a common word. In King Lear, it takes up 2.65% of the running words. So that means it's coming a lot of times. Even in 100 words, it's coming 2 or 3 times. In the reference corpus, that is all the plays, it comes 24,000 times. But what percentage is that? Well, it's actually even higher. It's coming damn nearly 3 times for every 100 words. So every 100 words of Shakespeare that you read, you're going to see the word and 3 times, which is quite a help. If you know the word and, to, and, in, is, it, for, these words here with, they're going to tot up altogether. They might tot up several percentage of the words of Shakespeare. So you could consider yourself an expert in Shakespeare. You probably already know most of the vocabulary. See how many percent each word takes up. So these are the words and to, and in, and is, which come unusually infrequently in this particular play. Whereas these words, fool, comes unusually frequently in this play. What do I mean? Fool comes 0.19%, but in the reference, it comes at 0.05%. So it comes about 4 times more often than you would expect from the knowledge of Shakespeare's words. Fool. Nature in this play comes 0.14%, but you don't expect that in Shakespeare. It seems you expect Shakespeare to refer to nature 0.04%. So that's many times more. It's like 2 or 3 times more often that nature is getting referred to in this particular play. So it's a kind of a nature-y sort of play. It's a play which talks about nature and where a fool is prominent, and it looks as if a letter is going to be significant and people's sisters are important, and there's a knave and Gloucester and so on, some of the words we've seen. So that's what the red words at the bottom means. It means negatively key. They're outstanding in the sense that they are underused in this particular play. Okay, there's the strongest example that we've got here. Lies comes 0.01%, but we expect lies to be 0.03. So we expect about 3 times more reference to lies in Shakespeare than we get in this particular play. Right. Now, you may say you're not interested in these negative words. Some of them, as we saw at the beginning, were common English words that are slightly less frequently being used in this particular play. And so you could switch that off if you like in the main settings. And the main settings will always be found here in the main controller. There'll be settings for keywords and a whole lot of settings which you mostly don't need to alter, but you might wish to alter. And I'm sorry if I give you too many settings, too much information, but the reason I do it is because I think it's important for you to be able to know exactly what was done and not have too much that was hidden from you. Especially if you're having to use this software for research purposes, you need to be able to understand what the decisions were in its processing. Okay. Right, now I'm going to go back to my program, but here we go. Right. Okay, this one here. Right, well now in this place I'm showing you how to add options here to the layout, to the right click in WordSmith. I get some items offered to me: copy, print preview, contextual help to give me some information about what I'm doing, make an Excel spreadsheet, alter the layout, that's the columns that we've already seen. So these are quite useful. And I found, until I was preparing for this, I didn't have make a concordance. Make a concordance, normally you could go select the word, or maybe select 2 words or 3 words or whatever you like, and then compute concordance. And that will go to the concordancer and say, please give us a concordance of the words I'm telling you about. And there we go, that's done. But what I was trying to say was that the options available didn't include concordance, but I found a way of including them. I'd like to show you how to do that. Well, I've done it already, so I can't show it without. But how did I do it? Well, again, it's an advanced feature. How do I get into advanced? I have to go back to main settings in the main controller. I press advanced settings, and then again, it's something in the advanced section here, and it's to do with menus. So there, I've got some menu items, and this on the right-hand side here is to do with pop-up menus. So which items will appear in the pop-up? And so I can say, you know, I want to take any of these here. So one of the things is to do with joining or marking words. So I might say I want to have marking be put there, and I just grab it and pull it over, and then it'll be added amongst the things that I want. I think I don't actually want marking, so I can't even take it off now. I think I've put it on, and that's perhaps not what I wanted really. Anyway, no harm done. So I close that. So that's how I can alter what is available. No, marking didn't come in. Perhaps I didn't save. Oh, yes, I didn't save, that's why. Okay. Retrieving saved work. Well, we've done that already. So retrieve, that's very useful. And sometimes people don't realize this previous results is where I keep all the stuff I've been doing, the concordances. That's why I tend to save. You don't have to save, but I tend to save things that I do. And I've got concordances, keyword lists, word lists, and then various other things to do with other research, indexes and keyword databases and so on, which we're actually not going to be looking at in today's session, I'm afraid. So sorting concordances. Let's go back to the concordance of death here and click the main header, and I want to try to sort by what did I want? Let's just check that again. Click right one, then L1, both ascending. So click, then right one for the main sort, that's sort 1. Sort 2, I'm going to have a second sort, and I need to activate that by making sure it's checked. So I want an L1. Now I want that L1 to be descending, and sort 1 I want to be, did I want it descending or ascending? No, ascending. I want ascending and ascending. Let's see if we get what we want. There we go. Right, so we're sorting by right word and then by the left word where it's the same word. So we've got all these different us, and all these alaks and alasses and so on, all in alphabetical order. And when they coincide, they're in alphabetical order again. So there are 3 alaks: death, then delaying, then superfluous. So you've got a double sort. That's what we've just done. I'm going to have a look at some questions that people have been asking. Red data in the keyword list, we've done that. Can we import concordance lines into WordSmith from Excel or text files? No, you can't. Can we what about Persian? Yes, Persian works. Also spoken transcribed corpora. Yes, you can use Persian. Again, for all of these languages, you're going to definitely need it in Unicode format. So if you've got UTF-8, that will be fine, but it needs converting to Unicode. Stella, thanks. Glad to help. And it seems that we've got no questions lined up at the moment, or none that I can see coming to me. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second and just say again, are we going too fast or are we going about the right speed? Could you give some indication, please? Okay, I'm getting some feedback, seems to be okay. Good. All right, well, I'm going to go on. That's fine. Let's go ahead then further. Thank you very kindly for that feedback. Very useful. Now I'm sorting concordances. So we clicked the main header. We did the right one, the left one sort. Now we're then a timeline, right? Now to do a timeline, we're going to want to do a timeline with our data here, but we're not going to get any success, I think, because I think we don't know the times of these Shakespeare plays. If we look at the date, they're all Shakespeare wrote them in 2006 in the month of June at 2 in the afternoon, all of them. That's pretty amazing, isn't it, to write so many plays when you're dead. So obviously there's something
funny.
wrong with this, and we're going to have to do something else if we want to make a timeline of Shakespeare plays. So I'm going to close this down now, and then we're going to go again. I want to change my selection of plays, right? What I want to do is I want to use this feature here, set the date and time for selected files, right? So it's just like me choosing the texts that I've already chosen. Let's clear those, and I will press this calendar, and I need a file which has a list of dates. Now it happens that WordSmith already comes with one of those, and we should be able to find it. It's called Shakespeare Plays Dated Plain, right? Now I found out that that play, that list had a mistake in it. If I show you back here, there's a list of dates. It's probably in your Documents 𝗏𝗵𝗃 8 folder, and it probably needs a mistake fixing, because this play 𝗏𝗵𝗃 has some characters inserted / comedies. It shouldn't. That shouldn't be there. It should simply say 𝗏𝗵𝗃 1609. If that's the case, you need to go and find that document. It's a list of dates, Shakespeare Plays Dated Plain.txt. You should be able to find it and edit that so that it doesn't have the word comedies 𝗏𝗵𝗃. Where am I? Let's go again. File, new, text, change selection. Here we go. And with any luck, I should be able to just press set dates from list. Oh, I've got to select the plays. There we go. You've got to wait a bit for it to happen. Date. No, the dates are not right yet. Let's see if we reread the disk. Oh, it's not working. Why is it not? Set dates from list, try again. Yeah, there we go. Now I've done it. So I'm sorry, you had to edit the thing. And now I've got all of the dates selected and it knows what the dates are. Now the first thing to do before I go ahead at all is to actually save the selected files as a set of favorites, right? And I saved them before somewhere. Shakespeare plays 𝗨, that's what I saved before, and then I can use them again and again and again, and so that's how I do it. Okay, so now I can simply go to the ones I saved, and it knows what they are, and it knows what the dates are. Right, now I can use them. I've got my 37 text chosen, and it actually knows what the dates are, and so I can do the word death or any other word I'm interested in and get a concordance then, right? And now with any luck I might be able to get a timeline. If I just click on timeline, I don't know whether I will see anything. Oh yes, I do, but I might not have seen the timeline. So I could be back on my concordance of death and go compute timeline. And then it says, well, what do you want a timeline? What basis do you want of the timeline? And well, it would be ridiculous to have millennia because they're all roundabout. We've got only about 40 different years, centuries, decades. Decades is too little detail. Years is probably about right. Months is no good because we don't have any, we don't know the month in each play. Weeks and days, again, isn't going to work. So really, it's a choice between years and decades. So I'm going to choose years. I think that makes most sense. There's my timeline. Is it too big to see? We get rid of this question and answer. Right, now I think you can see perhaps that we've got a timeline going from 1590 to 1612, and the word death goes up and down, right? So that shows us a timeline, the timeline feature. If we had done a concordance of another word, we could have two words actually. Let me just close this down and go again, and I'm going to do a concordance of death and life and hello and tea, because I'm thinking tea. And there we've got a concordance of various things. And in the case of tea and hello, we get big fat nothing. It looks as if Shakespeare didn't drink tea and nobody said hello. But we get life and death being represented in the timeline. And they go up and down. And that's the display we've got. Now, it's possible to make the timeline, to show the timeline in two different ways. At the moment, we're using something like a limited amount of space for each line in the timeline. If I change again, the advanced settings, so I go back to my advanced settings and timeline, text dates, and how many lines do I want per row, I can change it to 3 lines per row. And then we get 3 lines per row. You get the dates repeated on each line, like that. You can see the date coming again. And you can, well, you can change it from 3 lines per row to 4 lines. I can't see what you would do that for. But, and of course, T and hello are complete rubbish, so we don't want them anyway. I was just doing that as a bit of a joke. But this is how you can generate a timeline and see how words go up and down. It looks as if in 1603, there's not much happening. Maybe Shakespeare didn't write any plays at all in 1603 or 1610. We do know he didn't refer to tea or hello, but we've got every single year being represented in the display, and it looks as if there's some years when he was doing something else. Maybe he was just drinking tea and didn't write any plays. Okay, back to my list here, timeline that we've done, and we can see either you can choose the years and so on. Now, I'm going to now sort collocates. Okay, so let's go back to my concordance list. I've got the concordance of life and death here, and I've got a display of collocates. I don't know whether you've got a concordance of only life or sorry, only death or what. I'm going to now sort the collocates according to the words that come to the right of either death or life. So let's sort by R1 descending. Right, so these words come near to death and life. Now, most of those words are quite boring function words, right? Let's have a look and see which are the words that come to the left. Oh, we get a lot about thy, your life, his death, and so on. There, present, or is it present, till death, right? Now I want to see all these till death. Okay, so I've got 8 occurring in position immediately to the left of the word death. I want to actually see those, please. So I've got them highlighted, but I want to actually see them. If I just double click, I get offered, do I want to recompute using the same text files where I've got the word till coming as the left one collocate of death, or just show them in the existing concordance? I'm just going to go for show, and it goes and it finds them and it brings them up, and it puts our mouse on the last one of 8. So it focuses on the words that you're interested in. You've been interested in word to the left of, immediately to the left of death. How did I do that again? I was in collocates. I chose what I was interested in. And so I said, give it to me. And I could do it with, in fact, I think I'm going to do it now with the word present or present. I don't know which it is. Select that word and then double click. And then show me these words where present death. Though a present death had been more merciful. Seems as if present death, I don't know whether in Shakespeare present death means immediate. I should imagine, I'm not an expert on Shakespeare, so I think it's likely, perhaps there may be somebody who studied Shakespeare formally and knows a lot more of literature and literary theory than I do, maybe can tell the answer to that. Perhaps present death means, in Shakespeare's language, means something like immediate death. That's what I can read from the context there. Okay, let me see if I've got some questions and answers that haven't been dealt with. Now, that was a thank you. The pace is okay, but what's the purpose of the last action? What that is of using these two lists, left and right. I think we're talking about a concordance. So when we've got a concordance, then the way of reading a concordance is generally to cast your eyes up and down to read a concordance vertically, to look and see what are the frequent contexts that go with these words that we're interested in. And that's why I wanted to sort to the right and to the left. The words that come very near the word that we've started with will tend to be prominent. There are other ways of finding out. So another method is to look at this clusters idea. Clusters is something like 3 or 4 word sequences that include or come in the expressions here where I searched on life and death. So we get my life and the death of my life, by my life, father's death. If I say I want to compute clusters and say I actually don't want just 3 words, I want 4 words, and don't show me unless they come at least 7 times, then it will recompute again, and so I still get some. I've got some 4 words. There's one. Oh, my father's death. That's not really a 4 word sequence at all. It's got obviously something to do with an apostrophe. I wonder whether there's an apostrophe that's not been handled correctly in some way. So there are various ways of trying to basically what you've done when you've got a concordance is you've got all the instances of something and you're trying to investigate and see what you can find out in it, what patterns are outstanding. And then I've got this question here. Using a short text, I found a difference of 42 words between WordSmith count and Microsoft Words count. It could be the numbers, the handling of numbers. If you look in the help system, Anna Paula, you will find explanations to do with this. You will usually find a small difference. I don't know whether 42 words, but you will normally find a difference in the word count between all the different types of software that can count words. It depends how you consider it. For example, in WordSmith, you might consider that an apostrophe in the middle of a word in English is all part of the same word. You might consider that a hyphen, like here we have a life in the middle of that word, a life there, that we might consider that to be a single word. Or we might say, no, I don't actually want to separate them out. If I want and life to be considered separately. And so that's how do you treat hyphens. And that's the reason why you're going to find some differences between different types of software in processing in different ways. Microsoft Word gives you a quick answer, but it doesn't quite answer in the same way. Why the first list was descending and the second ascending? Well, Eugenia, if it went wrong, then because of something going wrong, I think I asked for them both ascending. And today I had a complaint from somebody, a friend of mine in Holland who uses WordSmith a lot, and he found that he was getting his sorting going in the wrong way. And it was fine a few days ago. So it may be that I've got it so sometimes ascending, so the ascending isn't ascending, it is descending. But if it's not right now, it will be right soon. I need to get it right for Meal because he uses this in processing Indonesian, and if I make a mistake, he's quick to tell me that something's gone wrong and I fix it. Right. so we did that, and we saw, oh, what about relationships? Okay, let's have a look at the relationships. That's quite important in the case of a concordance and collocates. Now we've got the collocates here of these words, and most of them are rather pretty boring frequency words. And so what we might want to say is, I want you to sort out relationships for me so that we know where the words come, which between life and death, that are much more intrinsically connected. And there are statistical measures which attempt to record this. And to do it, we need to compute relationships. So we went compute relationships, and we need a word list of the same corpus, which we've got. And we're going to just press OK, and there we've got it. Now, we then get a lot more columns. We've still got the same columns of L5, L4, and so on that we had before, but we've got all of these statistical columns here, about 8 different columns, which enable you to sort according to the statistics in various ways. Now, I'll just show you, for example, t-score descending, right? Then, well, death relates to death, life to life. Then we've got and with death, the with death, and with life. That's what t-score brings out. But if we look at z-score, right, we get, well, again, death seems to be strongly found where you've got death, death and life, not surprisingly. But then we get deathbed and lifeblood and during life and save life and fearing death. Some of these are connections which I kind of make much more intuitive sense. There, as I said, there are various statistics that you can play around with. None of them is terribly perfect, but it's rather like the friendship between people. And there are people, if you're friends with somebody, you tend to hang about with them a lot, and you tend to avoid the people you don't like. And so the words which come together are in a way certainly some sort of friend. So death belongs with deathbed, and life belongs with lifeblood, and during belongs with life, and save belongs with life in some way. And I think these are pretty obvious connections in the case of life and death. It's not surprising that in Shakespeare they're like that. And I think you might find that in many languages that the cognate or translated terms would work. In 16th century England, banishment goes with death. I think we perhaps might find banishment is not a very common punishment nowadays, but it's 17th century connection, which is quite prominent. So that's a useful way of sorting your data. You've got too much data, too many complications, too many words, lots and lots of numbers. And what you want is a way of trying to find the patterns in it. That's what we're looking for. Right now, I've got some more questions there. So I think we've done that one. In addition to showing up collocates, there's the option compute. What does it compute? Relationships? Well, nearly all of the menus in WordSmith have compute, and then there are various things you could compute. So you can compute a word cloud, you can compute patterns. You already have the patterns, the so-called patterns, visible. Oh, they're not visible here for some reason. But you can recompute them. Maybe it's to do with frequency. So if we go compute patterns, we need to change the settings, right? So we'll have to go back to the main controller and see it's a Concord thing, and see what we need to change for collocates here. There'll be some setting here, minimum frequency or something like that, which is affecting it, or minimum length. It's one of those which will affect the patterns. We need to change the settings, and then we can recompute. We can recompute collocates. We can change the horizons, which is by default from left 5 to right 5. We can change all of that. Minimum frequency, they must appear at least 5 times. The minimum word length, they must be at least 3 characters long. and so on. So the various settings which we can change to recompute our various things. So there are quite a lot of options. Depending on which window you've got open, the compute list will get bigger or smaller according to what's available. So you can recompute breakdowns and lemmas and lemma matches and relative entropy and word clouds and a whole host of different things. Okay, now back to my program. Right, well, I'm going to go into filtering now. So filtering is the next section. So, oh no, I won't. I'm going to jump forwards because we had a question about copying to Excel, right? So let's do that because I think that could be useful. So we've got the death concordance and we want the collocates of life. Now, how are we going to do that? Let's go back to death. In fact, I think I will simply close all of that, close the whole of Concord down and just get the death where I had death saved at some point. The previous results, concordances, and where is my death? Isn't there? There's death, right? So there's death. Oh, it's too small. Let's make it bigger. Okay, that's probably okay now. Right, here we go. No, that's the keyword list. That's not what I want. Close that down. Go back to my word list. There we go. There's my death concordance. And now I want to find the collocates of life in it. Okay, so collocates. Right. There's life. Okay, now let's see if we can find all the collocates of life, all 44, in connection with death. I chose 44. There, life as a total collocate of death. Show. There they are. Got lots of collocates of death and life. Okay. Before I did a concordance of life, death, hello, and T, didn't I? But now I've just gone back to the one which is death only. And the last line selected is this one, line 44, right? I'm going to just select all of those lines and say, okay, that's what I want to actually save in Excel. I'm only interested in the ones which have life and death. I've selected them. Now, how am I going to save in Excel? Well, I go File, Save As, Excel Spreadsheet. Right, now I've got selection only. In terms of the rows, I only want the selection. I only want the ones I selected. And in terms of the columns, again, selection only. I only want those columns. So it's got the heading row, that's the top. It's got the numbers at the left. And it's just got the 44 lines that I wanted. I press OK, and that's the name of the death concordance list XLSX. That should be an Excel spreadsheet file. And it's done it. And now it says, do you want to see it? And there it is. There's my concordance there, and it's copied, you know, the Excel spreadsheet there, and it's highlighted the word death. It hasn't actually highlighted the word life. It's only highlighted the word death. So that's an example of saving something in Excel. I'm going to close that now. Just because I altered the size of something, I don't need to save it. It's already saved. It's fine. Another way of saving. So I did select all identified lines and save, and Excel results. And if you choose separate concordance columns, you get it a bit differently. So I've got the same thing, and I go File, Save As, Excel Spreadsheet, and separate concordance columns. There at the bottom, I tick that, and oh, it's going to overwrite what I did before. It'll keep a backup, but I will lose it. So if I don't like that, I could change the name, but I don't care. I'm going to let it overwrite. And there we go. And what have I got now? I've got the 5 words to the left and the 5 words to the right selected and saved in Excel. So that's one thing that you might often find you want to do to save your data in Excel. Another possibility is you say, okay, I want to save as and put it into Word. You could do that. Let's see what happens if we do that. So that's saving the same stuff, not separate concordance columns, just saving. Let's see what happens. It saved it as a kind of Word document like that. And the font is a bit too large for the width on the screen. So we might have to change the layout and say we want it to be oriented landscape, and then it will fit better. They're not very nicely lined up because it's using a proportional font. So there are ways of making it line up, but I haven't got time to deal with those now. So I'm not going to save that. Okay, so it's possible to export to Word. Or now, another thing that you might need to know is this. Let's say I'll make this a bit narrow, it's a bit too wide, and I just select a few lines like that, and then I press Control-C and Control and C, the copy command. If I do that, I get a question. In the case of a concordance, I get a question. What do you want to save? Do you want to save a picture, or do you want to save editable text? If it's editable text, how many characters do you want to see? If it's a picture, it'll be a picture of just this same bit, line 3 to 5, just this rectangular area here. That's what the picture will look like, except it won't be yellow. So if I press OK, it's now in the clipboard ready for use. And if I then go to Word, there's Word, right? And then I say, okay, here's a blank document and I want to paste, right? And if I just paste ordinarily, it seems here, it will paste just as the plain text. But I actually don't want to paste as the plain text. I want to paste as a picture. So I go paste special, and then I get a picture, which is what it looks like in WordSmith. So there I've got an image, which I can pull bigger and smaller. And it's representing what we had on the screen before. How did I do that? I went paste, paste special, and choose picture. The alternative is paste special and unformatted text, and it will do that. And if speaking as a teacher, I might say, oh, well, I want to edit this and remove some words or change something or whatever, or make an exercise or something like that. And it's quite useful to have the actual words, but in which case 100 characters is probably a bit too much. I might really only want about 70 characters to fit easily onto the line. That's up to me to decide what I want to do. I'm going to close Microsoft Word and not save any of that. And that was how to export to Word and Excel. So how are we doing now? Have we got questions there, or are we okay? Can one set the window for the distance between the collocates? Yes, we've seen that. You could change it. I'll just go back in case you missed it. It's it's a Concord setting. It's to do with the window here between L5 and R5. You can change that to say L3 to R3 or L4 to R2. You set it to what you like, and that's how you can set the window for the what I call the horizons, or the window for the distance between the collocates. Yes, you can. Okay. Right, okay. Well, we're getting on well. We've not actually going to have time to do everything here, but there are some things. Well, let me see. Filtering collocates. I've done that, double-clicking a collocate list. Right. Using the set column. I think we're going to go straight to set column colors. Some of you will already know that there is a thing called the set column. If we go back to my keyword list here, I've got a set column here, which is an empty column for you to use for classifying stuff according to your own interests at any time. And you don't have to use it. It'll come blank in the first place. But if you say, I'm interested in these words, these keywords are important to me, and I want to think about them and kind of annotate my results so that I keep a record of the different kinds of words that I think there are, and I want to sort of classify them in some way. So, for example, Burgundy is a place, right? So I might say, well, I want to put a letter P here, for P for place, in that column. That would be quite useful to separate this word off, right? Now, how will I do that? I just click here in S for set column. And once I've done that, then I can be here in Burgundy, somewhere here, and just press P for place, right? And so next to Burgundy, you've got a P. And so let's go back to nature. Well, nature's quite an abstract word, so I'm going to call that an A. And fellow is it's a character. No, it's not a character. I don't know what that one is. It's an ordinary word, so I'm going to use O for that. An ordinary word for letter and sister, and knave. And Gloucester is a character, and where's an ordinary word, and alack is an exclamation, and Edmund is a character, and Kent happens in this particular place. Kent is a place in England, but it's also a character in this particular place. And I'm classifying, I'm doing my work on the words that interest me, and I'm using the set column for it. Now, I might say one letter isn't enough for me. I want more. So whipped it's a P for punishment, not P for place. So what can I call it? Well, I can write in the term here if I like. So I could write in, for example, punishment. So the set column now here has, some of them have single words, some of them can have more than one. If you just press a single letter, you will get a single letter recorded quickly and easily. If you make a mistake, you could press the space bar and that will disappear, and press C again and it will come back. And again, I think the space bar will probably clear this one. Yes, it has done. And if you want to get it back again, you probably have to write it in again. It's got completely lost. Punishment, wasn't it? Okay. So that's a way for you to classify your data, and then you can sort the data on the set if you like. And so there we've got them sorted according to the different classifications. So here we've got them sorted in descending order according to the classification we made. We can still resort again on the BIC score or whatever we like, but the set has been sorted for us, or we've done the work and we've saved it. That reminds me, when the work was done, you get some notes telling you what the settings were at the time you did it, right? And then you can write in some more. Classified several terms, including punishment. That's what I did today. And then I go back to my list and just simply save. I've got my results saved, and then come back tomorrow and previous results, the keyword list, and that's the one. And the notes should, oh, they didn't work. Now, there's something that needs fixing, right? I wrote that stuff down and it didn't save it. Now, I don't know, something needs fixing there. Definitely needs fixing. The set things I wrote, they're still saved, but somehow the note I made didn't save. So there, Mike Scott, you need to fix something. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to show you about color categories, because you can not only put a word in or a letter, you can actually have color categories. Let's go back here and no, I'm going to go back to my word list. I think that's what I'll do. Let's get rid of this keywords completely. Close down here, otherwise I've got too many things on my screen. And let's go back to the word list of, well, all the plays, that will do. Okay. Oh no, that's the detailed consistency list, not the one I wanted. It would do, but let's just get this one instead. Okay, now here, what I want to do now is I want to say, are there some words that Shakespeare used that end in ed or ing or have some other characteristic that I want to identify? I've got 25,000 words. They're all in alphabetical order, but there are too many words for me to actually look at in detail. So if I want, one of the things I might want to do is compute color categories, and you may have not tried this before. What we're going to do now is we're going to say word. We're interested in the word column. What are we going to do? Well, we could say if the word is such and such a word, or if the word is between such and such words in alphabetic order, it's between banana and cherry in order. You could type that down and write in banana and cherry, and it would search. We're going to just simply choose ends with, and we're going to try ness. Which of the Shakespeare words end in ness? So we've chosen what we're interested in, and I've pressed OK. And so it says here, condition, word column text ends with ness. That's my requirement. And when it does, I'm going to color the set column in a particular color. I'm going to choose this color, which it calls Peru. I don't know why. And so I click add a search. That's the color. Now, do any of these words actually end in ness? Do any Shakespeare's words end in ness? Let's see how many we can find. Oh, we seem to find quite a lot, right? Now, can we show them sorted? Right, now we seem to have got a whole lot there, right? So happiness, forgiveness, forgetfulness, marchioness, justness, and so on. Some of them will be typical nouns that end in -ness, where you've got some sort of adjective that ends in -ness, but some of them will be perhaps just coincidence that that word ends in the sequence NESS. WordSmith doesn't actually know English at all. That's why it can work with Farsi or Chinese or any language. It doesn't understand any language, so it doesn't know that fatness consists of fat plus ness, or hugeness is huge plus ness. All it was doing was simply seeking out the words that end in NESS, and it was putting a color in the margin for us. That's really just a filtering procedure to help us to identify maybe things that we might be interested. So we might want to export that list, say, to a text file, or export the words that end in NESS. So we could do that if you wanted the Shakespeare words. Let's try doing that. We go back to the list, happiness, and let's say we take these words and we go down, we take them, select the ones that we're interested in. Right, I'm going to stop there, and I'm just going to have the word and its frequency, and then I'm going to press File, Save As, let's say plain text, and the selection, only the selected bits, and I've got it saved as tragedies plus comedies plus historical files, word list, txt, and there it's done, and I've got the words. And if I wanted, I could take those words into some other tool and sort them by number or by word or alphabetically or some other way, but I've got my results identified there. I've just shown you something like how we can do that sort of thing. We are running out of time now, and so I think I'm going to have to stop the session here. But thank you for your attention. I'm happy still to answer questions for the remaining minutes. I hope we've gone at a reasonable speed and covered some of the things, but of course there are many more things that WordSmith can do. Let's see if we have any further questions or comments or whatever. Tony, over to you.
Okay, Mike. Thank you so much. Really, really great workshop. Thank you for taking us through the amazing set of features WordSmith has to offer, and for developing these features in the first place. So I know all the work that you put in and to make this thing work. So thank you so much. So it's great that you engaged with the audience as well, answering their questions along the way. That's very important. Thank you very much for that. And you guys, the audience, you guys were wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in, hanging out, asking your questions. Don't forget, we have more LAEL Research Bazaar sessions all this week. So tomorrow, Akira Murakami, Thursday, Tiago Pardo, and Friday, Adriana Picoral. Next week on Thursday, Larissa Goulart, and on September 23rd, Robert Poole. And so go to our webpage to sign up and download the materials for the sessions. The video recordings are already available on Facebook, facebook.com/LAEL webinars. And we will post an edited video on our YouTube channel for this session. Just head over to YouTube and search for LAEL webinars. And we'll send you the certificates by email in a couple of days. And please
send me one too, Tony.
Huh?
Are you going to send me one too?
Oh yeah, okay, sure.
I think if you look at my general state of age, you will see that I don't need the certificate. Actually,
you don't. I'm sure you don't.
Save the paper or save the certificate. Thank you very kindly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope you have enjoyed today's Res Baz with Mike Scott. It was a treat. Thank you, Mike. Great to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tony, for inviting me. I'm pleased to have done this, and I may do some more sessions like this. If I do, I'll put them on my website. making available that there may be some sort of consultation slots. This is maybe the first of some. I don't know. We'll see.